purpose of this video was to figure out, how do I get in alignment with success and abundance? So it started off with the marshmallow test. The marshmallow experiment was an experiment by which they placed a kid in front of a marshmallow, and yeah, I can't. The marshmallow experiment was first conducted at Stanford University by Professor Walter Mischel on students at the preschool. They placed them in front of a marshmallow, left the room and waited 20 minutes, and told them that if they didn't eat the marshmallow within the 20 minutes, then they would get a second one. If they did eat that marshmallow, then that's all they would get. Pretty much the experiment was seeking to prove if the ability to display self-control in your earlier years and the ability to delay gratification, if that indicates success within later years. And like, shocker, newsflash, it did. That was the case. There was some pushback, from other scientists who were saying like, oh, this could be more so about trust and authority. Like maybe the kids who did eat the marshmallow thought that they wouldn't get another, but Walter kind of retorted this and said that all the kids knew that they would be getting a second marshmallow because they were familiar with the people proctoring the experiment. So that was not the case. He shut them down. But the skepticism still remained in terms of like, self-control in early years equals success in later years. Skepticism still remained around that sort of conclusion because the sample size of kids they used was not diverse. They were all from the Stanford preschool, which I could assume that there's a little bit of privilege there. So they redid the experiment actually with a more diverse sample size of kids, so like 900 kids. So different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, and varying education levels with the parents. So, and they specifically paid attention to the education levels of the mom. I'm assuming that's because of like, moms are typically the ones raising the kids, so I guess their education would matter the most. But in the experiment, this is gonna shock you, it found that richer children, quote unquote, I'm just gonna call passing, like getting the second marshmallow, they found that richer kids passed the experiment. So in my head, the question becomes like, are the rich just more superior to us? That's why they're passing. It's some sort of social Darwinist thing, but of course not. So that led me on an investigation of like, why do richer kids pass the test, for one? And then for number two, it said that these kids go on to be more successful than the kids who didn't pass this experiment later on in life. And I was like, well, why? Why is that the case? For one, I was just searching around the internet. These videos are just like whatever intrigues me. So I was searching up, do kids raised in more wealthy environments, do they have more regulated nervous systems than kids who don't? And from what I found, they did. Because when you're put in situations where there is poverty or where there is trauma in your early child rearing years, there's a higher level of cortisol and other stress level markers in the brain, and that causes some sort of negative effect to the volume of the amygdala and the hippocampus, which control executive function. And executive function rules over things like emotional regulation, like self-regulation, regulating your emotions and regulating your thoughts. So I think that kids who have been affected by trauma or stressful situations have a decreased capacity to regulate their emotions, because it's like they're always put in situations where they're stressed out and they're not taught healthy coping mechanisms because their parents are also in those same stressful situations, i.e. generational trauma. And to add to the whole executive function and emotional regulation piece of it, when I was doing my research, part of it was that the kids who were able to regulate themselves and distract themselves, they were more likely to pass. So if you are put in situations where you're constantly stressed or you're impoverished, it literally on a biological level, it puts you at a decreased capacity to kind of pass the test. To add to that, I was watching this video with Walter Mischel, the guy who first did the experiments, and he said that he was opening these charter schools around America to help kids who are impoverished or in impoverished neighborhoods and stuff like that to regulate their emotions and build certain skills so that they can be more successful in life.
And one of the places in which I've been very happy to see the use of the methods and ideas that come out of the work of self-control are in the KIPP schools, Knowledge is Power programs, that are all over the United States now, that have been developed by people to really help kids who are living under conditions of high stress and in high poverty, toxic poverty environments, to have a better chance to make the most of their lives.
So I really feel like that adds to my sort of hypothesis that when you're put in stressful situations, it decreases your ability to self-regulate and kind of withstand temporary moments of unease. And then when it comes to the term like delaying gratification, to me, when I first heard that term, it kind of sounds a little weird in the sense that like the delayed gratification mean like you're sitting in a state of like agony and uncomfortableness until the moment passes, like you're just bearing it. Because when I hear that term, that's what it resonates to me, you know? And I think that's why sometimes people fail at it too. So I looked up the word gratification and I looked up the etymology, and it can be broken down to mean like to make thankful, to make pleased. So if you're delaying yourself to make yourself thankful or to make yourself pleased, I just don't think that makes sense. It would make more sense to operate within a state of like being content.
When we're discontent, what are we more prone to see? All of the wrongs, all of the things that should be better. When we view through the lens of contentment, it is easiest to stay in that chair when we set the goal to never run out of things to be grateful for.
I kind of believe in the more so like law of attraction thing, which is to operate in the energy that you prefer so that, you know, more of that comes to you.
When you get home tonight, take out your checkbook and write yourself $1 billion check. And when you get through laughing, understand this: the check is good until you try to cash it. You hear me? So all you got to do is know that. How many times somebody in your life give you a bad check, you didn't know it was bad till you carried it to the bank? So when you're walking around, you got $1 billion check, huh? Then you got to act like you're a billionaire. That's all. It's that simple. And then something comes off of you that you can't be messed with, huh? That's how simple it is. You think you're a fool, you'll act like a fool. You think you're poor, you act the way they tell you poor people supposed to act, huh? Plant. You want to grow corn? You plant a seed. It works with everything else, huh? Plant. You want to get a new car? Buy the keychain and put it away. The car come to you. That's what the real God is about. Don't nobody.
And when the experiment revealed that the people who passed the experiment went on to be more successful, to me that resonated as like, I think these kids were already successful in the sense that they already operated in homes where success is modeled for them, where they have opportunities where they're being affirmed and loved and cared for and lifted up. So they continue to operate on that frequency later as they grow up, later on in their lives. They continue that. I don't know if that they become it or they just continue on the path that was already set for them. It reminds, I don't know if I'm thinking of something, like I'll put in the clip, but it's this clip of Olivia Pope where she's like, did you make good choices? I don't know, I'm gonna find it. Like, did you make good choices, or were good choices laid out for you, or were the, you know what I'm saying, like,
I am a good mother. Oh, really? Because in my book, a good mother puts her daughter's needs before her own. A good mother makes good choices. And she doesn't drag a child from town to town, school to school. She doesn't smoke marijuana. Just leave her daughter to fend for herself. And she really doesn't leave a baby alone in the cold in front of a fire stick. You didn't make good choices. You had good choices. Options that being rich and white and entitled gave you.
they just continue to operate in the energy that was already set up for them. Whereas maybe the kids, well, I don't want to make it said that the kids who didn't pass, I call, eating getting the second marshmallow. I said the kids who didn't pass were less successful than the kids who did. So I'm assuming, this is where my assumption comes in, is that they continued along the trajectory of whatever energy was set for them throughout their lives.
Being content brings more being content. Being in scarcity brings more scarcity. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And it's sort of weird because we're tricked into thinking that if we prove ourselves and we overwork and we overdo and we're the best and we're undeniably great, then we'll be rewarded. And I just feel like energy does not work that way. It just always is what it is. And that just continues.
Whatever conditioning they were given was continued. So if I'm saying that rich kids are not passing the test because they're inherently better, I'm saying that rich kids are passing the test because they are not operating from lack. They're having their needs affirmed, all their needs affirmed in the now. They're not suffering, so they're able to go without. When you put the hungry person in front of food, they eat. When you put the full person in front of food, they can wait. Then is delayed gratification really the key to success? Or is it the, what's the word I'm looking for? Or is it the product of success? Is delayed gratification the product of being okay, of having all your needs met? Because if all your needs are met and you're good on the inside, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, you can go without. You know what I'm saying? But if somebody is not well, then and you tell them, delayed gratification, and they're suffering, and there's a little piece of something that can make them feel better in the short while, of course they're going to take it. I think that the key is to...
Really what I'm trying to say is, I don't believe in the idea of delayed gratification. I think you should be grateful for the things that you have in the now rather than holding out for one particular thing. And I think the ability to go without and to regulate yourself and control yourself is a product of being content from operating in gratitude for the things that you do have in the now.
Because I think to just suffer and to just be like hustle harder and do better and do more and work harder, I feel like that doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. And I kind of look up all these things to help myself along my journey, because I'm going through stuff too. And there was a moment where I was just trying to work extremely hard and I was trying to do the most and trying to make things work, and it almost feels like this energy of desperation a little bit, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't right. And then I was getting messages to rest, so that was conflicting, because the world tells you to work harder, but sometimes it's like you're in traffic. There are cars in front of you there's cars behind you, doesn't make sense to turn back, but there's nowhere to go in front of you. All you can do is what you can do, and you can't stress out over what you can't do. So you just gotta hang tight and wait that proverbial 20 minutes for that marshmallow. So I'm back to bring everything together and to bring things home, to land the plane, so to speak. But the purpose of this video was to figure out, how do I get in alignment with success and abundance? So I started off with the marshmallow test. Delaying gratification equals long-term success. But my feeling is that, how are you supposed to successfully, long-termly, I don't know what the word is, delay gratification if you're in a state where you're not okay? That is extremely difficult, and I feel like that's why a lot of people fail at it. So I started to explore, what does gratification mean? And I feel that in the video I conflate gratification with gratitude. And gratification means to make yourself pleased, to make yourself thankful. But gratitude means to be thankful. So when it's a state of being, and the other is almost like in a state of chasing and seeking. And instant gratification looks like very compulsory and addictive behaviors, because you have to do them over and over and over again. It's like you're constantly in that state of to make, and it's like your brain gets slipped into that portal, which is why when you're doing it, like I could be on my phone scrolling, or I could be watching YouTube videos or whatever, or watching TV, and it's like I look up and I've spent the whole entire day doing it. It's like your brain gets sucked bitch, I don't know why I just put my hair. It's like your brain just gets sucked into a portal. Whereas gratitude is different. There's a level of presence there, an in tuneness there, and it's not disassociative. It's almost like you're just surrendered to the moment, and you just feel at peace. And I feel like people perform gratitude in a very compulsory way, because we get guilted when we're not being grateful. So it's almost like that whole thing of being at the Thanksgiving table, and they're like, say something you're grateful for, and you just say something. And I think the first thing in gratitude is to actually be aware. So being aware looks like something really funny for me, where I'm like, oh my God, I'm alive. Like, this is my face. I'm talking to myself. Like, these are my hands. I can move my hands. I'm in this present moment. I'm in my body. Like, this is so weird. And I'm looking at the sky and the leaves and the trees and the grass. And I'm like, oh my God, this is trippy, like weird. Like, I'm actually real. And then there is the sort of Jedi thing you have to do with your mind, Jedi Matrix thing you have to do with your mind, where you literally have to pay attention to the vibration and the energies you prefer. Because once you're present, it's almost like now you're present for everything. So it's like, the reason why we escape is because we're trying to escape the negative stuff. So it's like, when you're not present, the negative stuff or the projections of others can get to you. So it's almost like a Jedi mind warrior. You have to not personalize or internalize those things, and direct your attention to the things you prefer in the name of self-preservation, which is self-love. And in sort of directing your things to the things you love and showing them attention, it's like, it could be even like the way you take care of yourself, the way you do your hygiene, the way you wind down for bed, the way you talk to yourself, the way you love on the people that love you, the way you clean your home, the way you clean your space, the way you talk, the way you decide to move through this world. Just those things that you have control of, when you pay loving attention to those things. Because when you pay attention to something, you show it love. Like, you plant a seed, you make sure there's not too much water or too little water. You make sure to nip it and to prune it, and it has enough sunlight, and what you nurture has the tendency to grow. And I feel that sometimes when you focus on lack, even though the call of lack can be super loud because it can take the form of trauma and projections and past stories that have hurt you, so that call can be super loud. When you pay attention to the things that you don't like and you don't prefer, not to say you should be an avoidant, that's not what I'm saying. When you pay attention to those negative stories, it's almost like you love those things and you grow those things over there, where you could be giving attention to the things. I need to talk into the mic. Whereas you can be giving attention and love to the things that you prefer. As long as you are living and breathing and your brain functions, your most valuable resource is attention, awareness, and your consciousness. And therefore, you are abundant. When most people think of abundance, they think of money, but whatever you give your energy and attention to has the tendency to grow. That is why the apps are after your attention and you staying on the app as long as possible, because it feeds their platform. It makes it come alive. The more of your energy you give to it, the bigger the platform becomes, the more valuable it is, the more they can sell ads. You are the product. I feel that attention is our most abundant resource because, like, we can always choose what we pay attention to, and we have it in excess until we die or we get dementia and our brains don't work anymore. But we give it away so passively. There is no thought or mindfulness into what we consume. We just consume what is there because the algorithm feeds it to us. And doing that does us no favors. Attention is our most abundant resource. We have it in infinity until we die. Maybe not infinity, but you know what I mean. But we give it away the most passively. It's like we're not aware of our own power and what you're giving your energy to in the form of attention, in the form of time. You're feeding it with your life force. And if you're giving it to something that doesn't give anything back to you or that drains you, you're hindering yourself. Like, anytime I doom scroll, I feel drained. Anytime I watch too much TV, I feel drained. Anytime I talk to a difficult person too long, I feel drained. Anytime I think of something, a memory from the past that I don't like, I feel drained. I feel sad. I'm a little kooky, so I feel like your brain, you have to be like a Jedi and know that you have that superpower, so to speak, and not be sucked into things that do not benefit you or serve you. Know that what you give your energy to gives life to it. So give your energy to the things that give you life. Don't let the algorithm control what you're doing for the day or what you're thinking for the day or what your thoughts are for the day. Don't be mindless. You know what I'm saying? Wake up. And even if you want to, I feel like even if you do want to be mindless with a purpose. You know what? I'm going to specifically doom scroll this over here. I'm going to specifically look into alpacas today. That's what I'll be giving my mind to. It's just important that you know that you already have something special and be careful of what you give it to. And I feel like people are already aware of the valuableness of attention when it comes to giving people attention or supporting people. They know who they want to do it for and who they don't want to do it for. And when you're doing something and somebody doesn't support you and you feel like they should support you, you feel like you notice the lack of support, but it's really the lack of attention and energy. So people get that when it comes to people, but they don't get it when it comes to other things. It could be a memory, it could be TV, it could be doom scrolling, it could be a relationship with a really terrible person, it could be all types of stuff in general. But it's like, me personally, I have a lot of stuff going on too, and I'm not an avoidant, but I just don't focus on what I can't fix or what doesn't serve you or what doesn't serve me or what's gonna suck me dry. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I can only do what I can do, and what I can do is what I can only do, and I gotta do what I gotta do, and I gotta do what I called Elisa Rice. Period. So it's almost like you're drifting between, you can choose your reality, like choose your story type of thing. And you can, it's like this choice to be grounded in the story you prefer, which can look like being grateful. I hope that makes sense. I really do. And I practice gratefulness by doing the things that I love and paying attention to myself that I love and paying attention to the people that I love and looking at the things that I love, because I feel like when you say I am grateful, it could be like I am grateful, I am happy, I am grateful for my family. Which it could be just like so like robotic, but sometimes you need to wake up the feelings of like, oh my God, this is why I love you. This is why I love this thing. Like, this is why I love this. It's love. And it's like when you direct your attention to the things that wakes you up, you exist in that state of gratitude. And I feel that amplifies. And that is the secret to the success. I feel that when you're operating in that state of contentment and love, it is easy to go without because you don't feel like you're lacking anything. And it's almost like the self-control shows up as a result of self-love. And that's my TED Talk. I'm genuinely tired. Be sure to stay for my outfit, girl. I'm fucking done. Anyway, I gotta go because there's some white children who've been waiting to use this baseball field that I film at. I feel so ashamed. I have to go. Bye.